From Northern Avenue in Yerevan, this is CivilNet's Daily News Digest. I'm Maria Titizian, and here are the top stories for Friday, March 14. Armenia's government calls for tax breaks for new IT startups. Also, pension protests, reprisals, and dismissals. Plus, a former U.S. ambassador to Baku speaks out about pure terrorism. And later, find out which beloved animal at Yerevan Zoo will be traveling. A new bill calls for tax breaks for new IT startups in the country. During its regular session yesterday, Armenia's government announced that they will introduce a bill to parliament for ratification that would exempt IT startups with up to 15 employees from profit tax for the first 3 years. The startups would also only be required to pay a reduced 10% income tax for their employees. The Minister of Economy, Varam Avanesyan, told reporters that they hope this measure will be ratified quickly as it will contribute to the development of the IT sector in Armenia and will also increase Armenia's rankings and increase competitiveness. The minister admitted that Armenia has been losing its advantage in the IT sector in recent years to other regional centers and that presently there are no new IT companies being registered in the country. Pension protests in the country over the last several months have resulted in some people losing their jobs. 3 employees of Yerevan Metro were fired after participating with their colleagues in a demonstration protesting the controversial measure. Gagik Gasparyan, Seva Kovanisyan, and Antranik Gevorkian were dismissed 2 days after the protest. They have now applied to a municipal court in Yerevan to overturn their dismissal, claiming that it was a reprisal by their employer for their participation. Yerevan Metro officials deny any connection. On the contrary, they say the men were let go because their performance on the job was not up to par and they had been given prior warnings. Christine Gevorkian, the lawyer representing the employees, said that her clients had received no prior warnings from superiors, something that is required by the labor code. David Sarkisyan, Armenia's Minister of Finance, and David Dole, representative of the Asian Development Bank, signed a deal under which Armenia will receive a $100 million grant from the bank to continue the 3rd phase of the North-South Transportation Corridor program construction. The goal of the program is to eventually develop a safe and efficient transportation corridor connecting Armenia with surrounding countries. This last stage of construction calls for the development and realization of a long-term road subsector program and the development of an efficient administrative and managerial system to oversee construction and maintenance. An Azerbaijani opposition leader, Erkin Gadirli, had written a status on his Facebook page back in February stating that Azerbaijani special forces should have killed Robert Kocharian, Serge Sarkisyan, and Seyran Ohanyan for their role in the Karabakh War. Former American ambassador to Azerbaijan, Richard Kauslerich, had said that the statements by Gadirli were, quote, pure terrorism. In response to Kauslerich, a reporter for Azadutyun in Baku, Murat Hasanli, wrote a piece on Meydan TV website. He said, Erkin's call for destruction of suspected Armenian war criminals was described by Kauslerich as pure terrorism. This, coming from a former U.S. diplomat, is hilarious. Someone needs to remind Mr. Kauslerich of his own country's behavior since 9/11. What Erkin had called for is known in the business as extrajudicial execution. The United States had created the precedent for this and continues to use this method across the globe with impunity. Torture, by the way, thanks to the Pentagon and CIA, is now known as enhanced interrogation technique. End of quote. In response to this position, former Ambassador Kauslerich also wrote a piece on Meydan TV where he said, First, Erkin Gadirli endorsed the assassination of Armenian officials. That is pure terrorism. I regard this as unacceptable coming from anyone, especially someone playing a political role as Erkin does. Erkin Gadirli must retract that endorsement of terrorism. Second, we now have the combination of an Azerbaijani opposition figure calling for the assassination of Armenian officials and the president of Azerbaijan claiming that Armenia is actually part of historic Azerbaijan. So, as a former diplomat, I ask, how do you peacefully negotiate a settlement to the NK conflict under such outrageous statements? The former diplomat also said, it is not worth one more life in the name of revenge or righting historical wrongs. It is time for peace and reconciliation. Armenia's National Security Council announced that a research group has been established at Roscosmos, the Russian Federal Space Agency, to study Armenia's potential and capacity for space exploration. The announcement was made after Artur Baghdasaryan, the Secretary of the Security Council, met with Russian Sergei Seredin, the head of the Russian Space Agency's delegation. During the meeting, Baghdasaryan noted that the establishment of the group coincided with the close scientific, technical, and industrial relationships between Armenia and Russia. Armenia has experience in cooperating with Roscosmos, and the modernization of the Pyuragan Observatory in 2012 and 2013 was part of a program of cooperation. Armenia has enterprises which are able to provide Russian plants with space radio electronic devices. The Armenia School Foundation, dedicated to refurbishing schools in remote areas in Armenia and Artsakh, announced that it has completed 8 additional school projects in 2013. A total of 193 student and 35 teacher desks and chair sets, 52 blackboards, 24 bookcases, 20 computer desks, and 30 dormitory chests were delivered to 8 schools in the marzes of Ararat, Armavir, and Arakadzodon. The nonprofit organization raised the funds from a number of events and donations. For the past decade, the ASF has assisted over 200 schools in Armenia and Artsakh, serving 19,000 students. The Georgian Parliament, in cooperation with the Embassy of the Republic of Armenia and the Caucasian House Center, commemorated the life of famous Armenian actor Meher Frunzik Mgrtchyan on March 12. In an event entitled Frunzik Mgrtchyan 20 Years Later, the late actor was celebrated as a key figure in Armenian-Georgian cultural and national relations. Mgrtchyan was born in Gyumri, Armenia on July 4, 1930. In 1955, he launched his career in Soviet cinema, where he starred in many cross-cultural comedies, becoming one of the leading comedians in the Soviet Union. In 1978, he received the USSR State Prize for his work in cinema. Meher Mgrtchyan died on December 29, 1993 in Yerevan. His residence in Gyumri currently functions as a museum dedicated to his work and life. Cellist Sevak Avanesyan has been named first cellist or concertmaster of the Philharmonic Orchestra of Brussels. The 25-year-old musician is originally from Armenia and was part of the Young Virtuosos of Armenia. He has won numerous international competitions and has performed in some of the most prestigious concert halls in the world. He's a permanent member of the Avanesyan Piano Trio. And finally, one of Yerevan Zoo's most beloved animals is Grand the elephant. His trainer, Tobias Dornsbusch, says that Grand is attentive, bright, and always ready to learn more. Tobias spends 4 hours every day working with Grand and has proposed that the elephant be transferred to the Tbilisi Zoo for a number of reasons. Grand apparently is lonely in Yerevan without a mate, and in Tbilisi will have the opportunity for reproduction, as the zoo there has a female elephant. Also, he needs surgery on his tusks, and there are all the necessary conditions to do that operation in Georgia. Although Yerevan Zoo would be losing Grand, he would be replaced by a younger male elephant from the Tbilisi Zoo, and when his living conditions are improved, a female elephant will also join him. For those of you who haven't had a chance to visit Yerevan Zoo, I highly recommend it. The exchange rate is up on your screen as we take a look at your forecast. It's going to be a partly cloudy day in Yerevan with a high of 14 and a low of 0. In Gyumri, it will be high of 4 and a low of -3 with expected snow flurries. In Stepanakert, it will be raining and the high will be 7 and the low a -1. And our travel forecast takes us to the city of Vardenis, Armenia, where it will be a snowy day with a high of -2 and the low a -14. The city of Vardenis is located in Armenia's Kegharkunik Mars. The city is surrounded by mountains and is located only 3 miles away from the picturesque Lake Sevan and Sevan National Park. Humans have settled in and around Vardenis for a millennia. Tombs dating back to the 3rd to 1st millennia BC have been found nearby, as well as Cyclopean masonry. According to folktales, the city was originally founded by Keram, the grandson of Haik, founder of the Armenian nation. However, according to historian Revont Alishan, Vardenis was founded in the 9th century AD by Gaburn Vasag, prince of Sunik, whereupon the city was named Vasagashen. After the fall of the Arshaguni dynasty, the area came under the control of the Sambadian princes of Artsakh. Although the city was raided constantly by nomadic tribes throughout the Middle Ages, many medieval monasteries and monuments were built. These include Magenad's Monastery, Basilica of Sotk, the chapels of Ark, Karch Akhbyut, Khachkars, and Surp Astvazadzin. Throughout the 19th century, the city was subjected to population changes as many indigenous Armenians migrated to Georgia, while Armenians from Diadin, located in western Armenia, repopulated the city. The current town's foundations were established in 1952 under Soviet rule and were later updated by the Ministry of Urban Planning of the Republic of Armenia in 2004. The economy of the city is primarily agricultural and mining, as the Sotk gold mine, with one of the largest gold deposits in Armenia, is located only about 10 kilometers away from the city. The current population of the city is about 13,000 people. An amazing 568 monuments are recorded within Vartanis's immediate area. That's our digest for this Friday, March 14. We leave you today with a performance by Sevak Avanesyan on the cello, performing Brahms' 5 Major Sonata. Have a safe and pleasant weekend, and I will see you back here on Monday.